We are turning our attention now towards Iran. The ongoing anti-regime protests in Iran escalated sharply after the city of Abdanan in Ilam province has reportedly fell under the control of protesters and rebellious youths. Yet large crowds took over the streets as security forces struggled to maintain control, marking what activists describe as the first Iranian city effectively seized during the ongoing uprising. According to reports, Revolutionary Guards units attempted to confront the demonstrators in Abdanan but were met with resistance from protesters. Abdanan is a city located in the central district of Abdanan County in Iran's Ilam province, near the border with Iraq. Human rights groups are saying that at least 35 people have died and more than 1,200 have been arrested since the uprising began, driven by economic crisis and the Iranian rial hitting record lows. Joining us on the broadcast is Karori Singh, Foreign Affairs expert. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the broadcast. We appreciate your time. So, I want to understand, when we are looking at this first Iranian city to have fallen into the hands of the protesters, are we looking at some change in Iran? Because these people started protesting against the inflation, the falling of the Iranian currency, but now we are seeing a totally different mood to these protests, sir.
You see, Shivani, there are three factors involved in the Iranian situation since long. First is the foreign interest and intervention. And foreign interest and intervention is continuing in Iranian history since long. First regime change took place in 1953 when the democratically elected government was removed by the US CIA and MI6 intervention, and the Pahlavi regime was installed. And it was because of the foreign interest in Iranian oil. Then the Pahlavi regime continued nearly, say, 27 years, and thereafter Islamic revolution took place in 1979, and that is continuing for last 45 years. So what happening is there are present conflict, present protest has three dimensions. One is the foreign intervention that is continuing because the foreign countries, they want to change the regime. The second is, if some regime is continuing for a longer period of time, people's discontent emerge, people want to change the regime. And the third is the economic deteriorating conditions, and the people's life is not on ease. So such protests are taking place for last several years. Since the sanctions were reimposed in 2018, then the protest took place in 2022. Large number of people were killed, and that was brought under control by the present regime. The second protest was expected last year when the 12 days war with Israel and the US was there. And then the Crown Prince Pahlavi, who is in exile in Washington, he appealed the Iranian people to overthrow the regime. But at that point of time, Iranian people showed solidarity with the present regime because of the foreign interest, because of the war. So the Iranian nationalism is very strong. But this time, it's the third time in recent days, and that is, this time is different in the sense people are not happy with the Iranian regime, the handling of the domestic situation. The second is deteriorating economic situation and the declining of the value of Iranian currency. So people are facing hardships. So they don't want to any foreign intervention. The moment there will be a foreign intervention, the Iranian nationalism will be strong. But it's the homegrown protest, and it started about 10 days back. Initially, it was in Tehran and the Ilam province, and Tehran University was the center of protest. Now it has spread in 27 provinces out of 31 provinces. So now it's a nationwide spread. And as you have mentioned, 35 people have been killed. Now the regime is not in position to control. So there are reports and maybe the speculation that Khomeini is trying to flood the Iran. If protest is not under control, he may fly to Moscow. He may fly to Moscow. Whereas at the same time, Pezeshkian, the president of Iran, has appealed the protesters to pacify, and he assured them to improve the economic condition, and he also assured to undertake investigation into the violence and the killings of the people. So if situation is not under control, the Khomeini with his supporters may fly to Moscow, and there may be the regime change. But the probability is 50-50, I must say.
Right.
Either the government may control the protest, or there may be the regime collapse. If collapse takes place, I think it will be a problem in the Middle East again, because if the collapse will not ensure any installation of government immediately, there may be a civil war-like situation in Iran, and it will have spillover effects in the whole of Middle East. Yes, Suhan.
So you've mentioned about the probability of a collapse. Let's look at the past also that you've mentioned. In 2019, 2020, there were major protests across the country, a huge uproar, and those were massive. Around 1,500 people were killed. And then in 2022-23, we saw the protests over the hijab. Women were actually on the streets as well, and a lot of people were against the theocracy as well. This protest, the third and one of the most violent that we are seeing right now, started out on economic terms. Do you believe that there is some kind of probability that the government might not be able to control this, because we are seeing a city falling, sir? This is very important right now, because if a city falls, then it's like a pack of dominoes. It might just affect the entire country.
Yeah, that is why I told the earlier two protests in 2022 and during the 12 days war, the present situation is entirely different. And anywhere in the world when theocracy is translating into polity, that is creating problems in the society. And in the Iranian situation, the theocracy is continuing nearly 45 years. So people have discontent against the theocracy and the present regime. That is the spontaneous thing. If some regime is continuing for a longer period of time, then the people's discontent are rising. So but whether it will collapse or not, if there, as the Trump announced that we may interfere in the Iranian situation, if the crackdown is on the protesters, if some foreign power, United States or some European power intervenes, then again the Iranian nationalism will be the stronger, and they will resist the foreign intervention.
Right. Thank you so much.